Hi, welcome to SBR Sports Picks. I'm Peter Loshak. His name is Mike Brenner. We are the Odds Couple. We come to you from SportsbookReview.com, and it's Week 4 in the NFL. We're about to do our very popular segment, False Favorites and Top Underdogs with Doug Upstone. Now, Mike Brenner, I've been doing this show with Doug Upstone for a bunch of years, and he started to get popular with this show a few years ago because people started to pick up on the fact that Doug was having, winning weeks more often than not. And this year, swept the board last week. 8-1 against the spread in the first 3 weeks of the NFL regular season. And again, that's not a fluke because Doug has been doing this with us for quite a while, all for free. Can you believe that?
Well, he's getting it done. And you know what? At the end of the day, Doug is benefiting because,
Doug's been doing this for a long time in his career, a guy with a lot of integrity. Doug Upstone, congratulations on your awesome start in this show. How do you feel about Week 4? What do you have to say for yourself?
Well, guys, thank you. First of all, thank you very much. As always, my pleasure to be here. One of the things, though, that, as you mentioned, been doing this a long time, so you always know that the betting gods are lurking over your shoulder to showing any sign of a little bit too much confidence. Now, one thing I would like to add, though, some of the YouTube users last week made mention of, some of them thought I'm a little bit dull as a personality, so I wore a red shirt. I brought some crayons right here. And I have a surprise pick for top dogs, false favorites and top dogs.
So you're going to get 4 picks, or just one of them is a big surprise?
No, just one of them, just a little different. You'll understand when you hear it.
All right. Well, we're not going to question the magic of Doug Upstone.
And Doug's looking sharp over there. Women love him, and men want to be like him.
Let's hear your first top underdog or false favorite from NFL Week 4, Doug.
First one's going to be a top dog, and it's going to be on the Cleveland Browns with the heavy points. Now, Cleveland last week lost, but they should have beaten Miami. They just missed a field goal at the end of regulation, went to overtime, and just didn't get it done. Even though, like I said, that they're winless, they have outgained their last 2 opponents, and I like the direction that Hugh Jackson has this team going. They're putting in a lot of effort, and I really like how competitive that they've been. Now, Washington got a clutch victory last week against the New York Giants, which they also needed. But the Giants now, originally this opened up at 10. It's down to 8. But still, with Washington, this is way too many points. In fact, if you have to go back to the second game of 2009, it was the last time that Washington was over a touchdown favorite, and they won that game 9-7, giving a 9.5 points to St. Louis on the last play of the game. When I look at this, I got to go with them. And when you take a favorite like Washington of 3.5 to 10 that are off the division win by 3 points or less, they're 4-24 against the spread. I think that makes Cleveland a top dog.
And in our, if you remember, in our injury show with Jordan Sharp, I had this game circled as one that appeared to favor Cleveland significantly on the injury front as well. They're putting Joe Hayden back in there. We know that the Redskins have dealt with a bunch of injuries last week. So
what I'm telling you right now, it makes sense. What Doug touched on, Hugh Jackson, this was a great hire. He really has that team going the right direction. And number one that he instilled into these players' minds was confidence, and he did it quickly, and he's just washing away the mess that was there. My hat's off to him. Doug, great breakdown. Numbers don't lie. That seems like that's a winner.
All right. What's your second false favorite or top dog for NFL Week 4, Doug?
We're going to have a false favorite, and it's going to be on Arizona. Now, living here in the desert, I hear a lot of Cardinals talk, and despite what I saw in the preseason, I didn't formulate a negative opinion about Bruce Arians' team because I just wasn't sure, but they sure didn't look good. But after 2 really bad showings against New England and Buffalo, I think something's really amiss with Arizona right now. You got Carson Palmer, who looks right now every bit of 36 years old. And with how their passing game is set up, opposing teams are starting to blitz more and more because Palmer is not going to be mobile. And with that, their long passing game, which nobody goes down the field further than what Arizona does, it's taking too long to set up because of all this blitzing, and Palmer just can't get rid of the ball in time. Now, I'm no fan of Case Keenum, certainly for the Rams. But, when you look at their offense, it's more run-geared, and Arizona right now is giving up 4.7 yards per carry. The Cardinals, when they're favored by 7.5 to 14 points at home, gentlemen, 1-12 against the spread. Arizona's a false favorite.
Wow.
And Michael Floyd is in concussion protocol as well, so that doesn't help their passing game either.
And Pete, when we were breaking down videos beginning of the year, you and I both kind of felt Cardinals might take a step back because of Palmer, his age, Larry Fitzgerald. They're not getting any younger. I like that breakdown as well. Something is not going right in Arizona.
I gave Arizona as an official play on my.
That's why your face. You should have seen your face.
But that's
Pete, you're
okay
like,
though, because like any gambler, you can take it back. I can just take the other side today, tomorrow, or Friday, and I might do that.
Your face was priceless. It was beautiful.
Thanks so much for that insight, Doug Upstone. What's your third false favorite or top dog for NFL Week 4?
Well, for the first time, gentlemen, we got a total that I think is false. And we're going to be looking at Houston and Tennessee. Now, the Titans and the Texans are both averaging 14 points a game so far this season. So it's not going out on a limb to assume that you're going to have a lower scoring game. And the total has fallen from 41 to 40. But when I put on my miner's hat and start digging around and doing some investigating, I found that 9 of the 14 games at Houston have gone over. Tennessee is 27-13 over after scoring 7 or less points in the first half of consecutive games. And here's the clincher. Road teams like the Titans that are scoring 17 or less points per game after scoring 17 or less in consecutive games are 23-4 over the last 5 years. I think the total is going the wrong direction, and I think this should be an overplay.
You might be right. It's interesting, though, but Tennessee is playing a very different style of ball than they used to play, right? They're a very run-heavy oriented team right now. Doug Upstone, when I first saw this one, I was leaning to the under at 41 or 40 and a half, but I told Mike Brenner, I was like, that total's just too low for me to take it. I actually didn't give a pick on it, so I agree with you that it's not an automatic underplay. I'm not sure that I'm liking the over here, though.
I want to chime in also, though. I think this piggybacks on top. You got a Houston team with a quarterback they just paid a hell of a lot of money to. It's not showing a hell of a lot of fruits of his labor. So this week he's going to have to do it. And I got news for you: that defense, their secondary can be picked apart. Is Osweiler that guy? I don't believe so. But this week I think he tags on 21 or 28 points.
J.J. Watt's out, isn't he?
J.J. Watt will be definitely out. So
look, I was looking to bet Houston overs earlier on in the year because they have weapons on offense. I got burned with that. So you might be dead on here. It's a very tricky total, and it is very, very low. Absolutely, Doug Upstone. You're liking this one a lot, right, Doug?
I certainly am, guys. I think in this game, I don't pick a lot of totals, so I definitely was interested in what I saw here, and I think this is going to be the right direction to take this one.
Awesome info.
8-1. How could anybody refute that?
Speaks for itself. All right, we'll see how you do this week, and win, lose, or draw. We'll be back with you next week for Week 5. Thanks so much, as always, Doug Upstone.
Thanks, Doug.
My pleasure. Can't wait to be here next week.
All right.
Research before you bet. Be sure to check out SPR Picks for the best game predictions, breakdowns, and much, much more.